Good morning, everybody. First, I want to thank Saksham Society and Jaipur University for inviting me for this event. The theme of this event today is climate change, its causes, effects, and what we can do to mitigate harmful consequences expected and already existing, and make life on this planet possible for future generations also. Of course, this is a wide topic. Always there were changes in climate since millions of years. We had hot periods, we had cold periods like the ice ages. Nature adapted to that. Some species got extinguished, new species evolved. Nature has a strong capability to adjust to changed situations. That was before humans inhabited this planet, or at least before they did much damage to the environment. As for a long time, they were part of nature like still some indigenous people are. They were part of the cycle which life normally is. But the modern human life is different. We are not part of nature's cycles anymore. We just take whatever we want from nature, and what we give back is pollution of the atmosphere, of the soil, of water resources. Just one example. It took millions of years for the planet's oil reserves to be created. We use up these reserves in maybe 200 years, burn the oil and pollute the air, or make plastic bags from it, which then pollute the environment, the rivers and lakes, and also the oceans for thousands of years. If one always only takes and gives nothing back, the cycle is interrupted, the harmony is destroyed. It is not necessary to go more into details, as since a few decades these problems are known, and also there are efforts to reduce pollution, like filtering the exhaust fumes of combustion engines and of industrial plants, restricting the use of plastic bags or recycled products instead of throwing them away. Of course, this is all good and necessary to avoid further pollution. But that will not be enough. We also have to deal with the pollution of our environment already done. We need a way to purify the atmosphere, the soil and water resources, and to combat climate change. As this is an important and urgent task, we should be happy for any possible solution and be open to new ways which go beyond our present technologies. Especially, it is worthwhile to look into Vedic knowledge, the most ancient knowledge of mankind. Akihotra comes from this source. It has wide-reaching beneficial effects on our whole environment. Akihotra purifies our atmosphere, the soil, and our water resources. Akihotra is a healing fire technique which is prepared from dried cow dung and cow's ghee, both medicinal substances, in a copper pyramid of fixed size and shape, and performed exactly at the time of sunrise and sunset with two simple mantras morning, two simple mantras in the evening. Now, how does Akihotra purify our environment? Several experiments were done at different universities showing that indoor bacterial load was reduced by 80% or more by just one Akihotra fire. Chemical air pollution, SOx and NOx, as well as physical air pollution, particulate matter, were reduced by 30 to 40% by just one Akihotra. This is an important result, especially if you think of the several million people who die of air pollution every year. Also, water gets purified by Akihotra and by Akihotra ash. In one experiment, contaminated water was poured through a column of Akihotra ash, and there was a more than 90% reduction of bacteria, turning very bad water into drinking water. But even without adding Akihotra ash, just by keeping water in a jar next to Akihotra, it gets purified. This could be due to the fumes of Akihotra, but the same effect is there when we close the jar with a lid so that no air and no fumes can get into contact with the water. This means there must be some energy field around Akihotra which causes this effect. And this energy field goes beyond the electromagnetic range, which was shown in an additional experiment, but that is another topic. Even the water quality of rivers is improved by Akihotra and some additional Homa fires, which could be seen when comparing the water quality of Narmada River at different research stations. The water was best next to Akihotra place where Akihotra is performed better than the stations upstream and downstream. We have seen that Akihotra purifies our air and our water resources. What about soil? Today, I want to pay a little bit more attention to the topic of soil, as soil is often neglected but plays an important role, especially now in the context of climate change. Agriculture has become one of the biggest polluters. When we look at pesticides and chemical fertilizers, only a small percentage is taken in by plants, which then pollutes our food. A high percentage goes into the soil, then is washed into the subsoil water or flows off to rivers and lakes. Although some part of pesticides is released to the atmosphere. German studies show that, for example, glyphosate is found in the air, even miles away from any farming activities it could be found. In addition to that, agriculture now has also become one of the biggest net emitter of carbon. Approximately 20 to 25% of all greenhouse gases are produced by the modern food system. One important factor is the degradation of the land, which releases large amounts of carbon to the atmosphere. This makes it clear that we cannot continue like that. Alternative ways of farming are the need of the hour. So organic farming seems to be the only way to go. Organic farming practices would not only cut down agricultural greenhouse gases, but even help sequester carbon from the atmosphere and thus help a lot to fight climate change. With Homa organic farming, which is based on the use of Akihotra ash, and some additional techniques, soil organic matter increases and soil health and soil fertility both improve. This soil organic matter stores a lot of carbon. How does that work? Let us look at the carbon cycle. Carbon is stored in the ocean, the atmosphere, in plants, animals, and humans, and also in the soil. There's always a constant change. Here I want to concentrate on the role of the soil in this carbon cycle. For the soil, photosynthesis of plants is vital. Carbon, CO2 from the air, is fixed in form of carbohydrates, which build the structure of plants. Plants store quite some carbon, more than 500 gigatons, but soil stores approximately 5 times more through 2 mechanisms. One is part of the plant matter, like leaves, compost or green manure, roots of plants after harvesting, will be integrated in the soil and thus add to the soil organic carbon. And there's a second mechanism. Part of the carbohydrates which plants get through photosynthesis is transported down to the roots and released through the roots, which then feed microorganisms in soil, especially bacteria and fungi. These microorganisms in return make nutrients in the soil available for plants, like, for example, phosphorus. Experiments have shown that Akihotra plus Akihotra ash help the growth of these beneficial microorganisms, for example, phosphorus solubilizing or nitrogen fixing bacteria, tremendously. Higher levels of carbon in soil improve soil health and increase yields. Chemicals of modern agriculture, as well as regular tilling, disturb these microorganisms in soil, and a lot of carbon is released. Soil carbon is approximately 3 times of the carbon stored in the atmosphere. Using methods of Homa organic farming to increase the amount of soil organic carbon, approximately 10 tons carbon per hectare per year could be stored in the soil. If used on large scale, not only could the present level of carbon emissions be compensated, but on top of that, the present level of 410 parts per million CO2 in the atmosphere could be even brought back to a safer level of 350 parts per million CO2 within 10 to 20 years. This looks like a promising perspective. But there's a widespread apprehension. When we move from conventional agriculture to organic farming, will there not be a drop in yield which will make it impossible to feed the growing population of this planet? Here, Akihotra and Homa farming will help, because with Homa organic farming, there will be no drop in yield. Yields are even higher than with conventional farming. This was the result of a comprehensive study comparing conventional farming with normal organic farming and with Homa organic farming. 4 MSc studies were done at Dharwad Agricultural University in Karnataka, India. The 4 crops studied were soybeans, tomatoes, cabbage, and okra. In all 4 crops, the yield was increased as compared to conventional farming. Parameters measured were, for example, total biomass per plant, dry matter, shelf life, and especially yield per acre. The yield per acre increased by 15% with cabbage, 26% with soybeans, 28% with okra, and even 43% with tomatoes. So you see, with methods of Akihotra and Homa organic farming, we can even increase the yields. This will help to feed a growing number of people with healthy, nutritious food. And we can help to sequester carbon from the atmosphere, which helps to combat climate change. In this way, we help nature to come back to harmony and thus create a situation where plants, animals, and humans thrive and can happily live together on this planet. Thank you.